Here's the thing that people don't understand. The King James is a literal translation. So like 40 men sat in Hampton Court way back in the 1590s and in 1600s and sat there for years. All the leading brains of Europe, of Christendom, were locked in that palace for years, a decade I think it was, to literally translate from the Latin and whatnot exactly what the Bible said, studiously. And they didn't think, well, it might mean that, or maybe he meant this, but it was the time he lived in. No. Absolutely, word for word, jot and tittle, bang, done, okay? From the 1880s, the Revised Standard Version, the RVS, the American Standard Version, the hideous Good News Bible, which is very bad news, and the NIV, they're different. Firstly, the RSV uses very dubious manuscripts that were found in a trash can in Mount Sinai, really. So the monks kept them in there for 50, 100 years, then decided to throw them out. Who are you kidding? And the other forms were supposedly dug up in the Vatican. But there's like 53 manuscripts in the new Bibles. All of the new Bibles. There's like 2,500 manuscripts checked. One against the other. Make sure they say the same thing goes into this. So 2,500 against 50. You take your pick. And then, to make matters worse, they started a thing called dynamic translations, okay? The NIV is completely the product of a dynamic translation. What does that mean, I hear you say? Yes, I did. I heard you say it. What does that mean? Right, well, you get a room, and it's not for decades like the King James. It's a load of balloons who are not scholars or linguistic experts at all. It's a load of idiots drawn from the Jehovah's Witnesses, the Mormons, all sorts of spiritual realms. And they are all sitting in the room for a couple of months, and they decide, right, okay, for example, when you read this bit about women remaining silent in churches, they don't translate it. No. Or what you probably think is, well, they make the English modern because the King James is now in these, so they just change it to modern English. No, they don't do that. They sit down and they say, right, Paul's saying that because he lived in a misogynistic age where men were vicious and cruel to women and women were kept under subjugation. So obviously in a modern day, you would never say that. So then they change it to what they think Paul might have said, given if he'd lived in a more enlightened and progressive time. That's dynamic translation. So it's taking what was said in the Bible and putting it in a modern context. It's not making modern words out of the old King James. No. It's actually interpreting how Paul was feeling at the time, what his background was, how he grew up, and why he would come to these misogynistic conclusions. So therefore, that's dynamic translation, and they do that right through the NIV. Dynamic translation. So it is not a Bible, it's the opinions of a load of ungodly reprobates who sat in a room for a wee while, probably drinking while they messed up the Bibles. And older people will know this. There's a queer difference between Christians in 2022 than there was in 1972. A different breed. I don't even recognise Christians. I think, what, you're a Christian? A strange bunch. And it's all love and joy and peace and loveliness and, Jesus is great. Being a Christian's wonderful. Well, being a Christian, most parts of history, 99% of history has been very dangerous, fraught with danger, and met very often with death. They don't like that because they've been brought up in a diet of milk. They've never had tough meat to chew into. So when the persecution comes, the millions of Christians, they see it there, they'll run for their lives because it's all a joke to them. It's all fun. And if being a Christian is not fun, and not listening to Joel Osteen or his contemporaries babbling a load of old nonsense and telling you how wonderful Jesus loves you. Do you have your credit card? Yeah. The minute that stops, they're gone. So there you go.